The city lights below looked like stars that had fallen just to watch us. I checked the ring box in my pocket for the 5th time. My hands wouldn't stop shaking. "Lena," I said, smiling, "you remember our first date here?" She didn't smile back. Her eyes were on the skyline, not me. "Of course," she murmured, "you spilled wine all over your shirt." I chuckled. "And you laughed so hard, the waiter thought we were drunk." Silence. Something in her face had changed, still beautiful, but distant, as if she was already gone. I tried to shake it off. "I wanted tonight to be special," I said. "We've been through, Ethan," she interrupted softly. "That tone?" My chest tightened. "Yeah, I can't do this anymore." The words hit harder than I expected. I blinked, confused. "What do you mean? You can't eat here? You want to go somewhere else?" Her gaze finally met mine. It wasn't anger. It was pity. "Us, Ethan, I can't do us anymore." The ring box in my pocket suddenly felt like a stone. I forced a laugh. "You're joking, right?" "You're Lena, this isn't funny." She shook her head. "I've tried to make this work. But it's not enough." "Not enough?" I leaned forward. "I've given everything I have." She whispered, "That's the problem. You give too much." I froze. "That's a problem now?" Her voice wavered. Good, Ethan. Kind. But kindness doesn't build a future." I stared at her, unable to speak. "What are you saying?" She looked down. "I'm leaving the city." "Leaving?" My voice cracked. "Where?" "Adrian offered me a position at his company." The name felt like poison. "Adrian, your ex. The one who cheated on you?" Her eyes flickered. "He's changed." I laughed, sharp, bitter. "Changed? Into what, a billionaire with better lies?" She winced, but didn't deny it. "He believes in me, Ethan. He has ambition, drive, and I don't." "You have dreams," she said quietly. "But dreams don't pay for reality." I stared at her, the city lights spinning. "You told me you loved me." "I did." Her lips trembled. "But love isn't enough." The sky rumbled as thunder rolled in. It's fitting. I stood, the chair scraping against the floor. "So what? You came here to dump me on a rooftop?" "Classy. I came because you deserve honesty." "Honesty." I laughed again. "You mean betrayal dressed up as clarity?" She swallowed hard. "Please don't make this harder." "I was going to propose tonight," I said, voice breaking. "I bought a ring." Her eyes filled with tears. "Ethan." "No, don't." I pulled the box from my pocket and opened it. The diamond caught the first drop of rain. "This was supposed to be forever," she whispered. "You'll find someone who appreciates you." "I already did," I said. She just decided she prefers money over memories. Her expression hardened. "You think this is about money?" "Tell me it's not." She hesitated. That silence was my answer. Rain began to pour, cold and merciless. She stood, clutching her coat. "I hope one day you understand," she said. "Success isn't about feelings, Ethan. It's about winning." I clenched the ring box. "Then you're right. You and I were never playing the same game." She turned toward the stairs, but paused. "You'll never be successful, Ethan," she said softly. "You're too nice for this world." Something inside me shattered. I wanted to yell, to beg, to run after her. Instead, I stood there as she disappeared into the storm. The rain drowned the city's noise. My shirt stuck to my skin. My hands trembled. The ring box slipped from my grip, landing with a soft thud in a puddle. The diamond looked dull under the rain, like something pretending to shine. I watched it until her shadow vanished completely. Then I whispered to no one. "You'll see, Lena. I'll make sure you see." The wind carried my words away. Lost among the whispers of thunder and heartbreak, the days after she left felt like static noise without meaning. My apartment smelled like stale coffee and regret. I barely noticed when Daniel knocked, then barged in like he owned the place. "Damn, Ethan," he muttered, holding his nose. "You living or decomposing?" "Somewhere in between," I said, staring at the dark screen of my laptop. He tossed me a cup of takeout coffee. Drink. You look like a raccoon that lost custody of its trash. I managed half a smirk. Thanks for the concern. Concern? Nah. I just don't want to plan your funeral. You'd make me give a speech? I didn't laugh. My inbox was still open. Another rejection from another company. We regret to inform you. The words blurred together. Daniel leaned over my shoulder. Still looking for jobs? Still getting turned down? I said flatly. Apparently, nobody wants a guy who can't keep his fiancée or his focus. He sighed. You can't let her live rent-free in your head forever, man. She's not in my head, I lied. Yeah. He crossed his arms. Then why'd you just spell her name wrong in your password reset? I froze. My fingers had typed Lena 2020 out of habit. I forced a dry laugh. Guess muscle memory dies slower than love. Daniel groaned. You need to do anything that doesn't involve moping or caffeine overdoses. Like what? Therapy? I asked bitterly. Sure. Or you could, I don't know, start building something again. You used to be good at that. Used to, I echoed, the words heavy. Silence hung between us. He eventually left, muttering something about tough love and showering once in a while. When the door shut, the room felt emptier than before. The city outside kept living, horns blaring, laughter drifting up from the street. I sat there, watching raindrops slide down the window. It felt like the world was moving on without me. At midnight, I reopened my laptop. The screen glowed faintly, lighting the mess around me. Pizza boxes, old notes. A small velvet ring box, still lying near the keyboard. I stared at it until my chest ached. You'll never be successful. Her voice echoed in my head. I clenched my jaw. Maybe you were right, I whispered. Maybe I was too nice. But then another thought broke through, quiet, almost defiant. What if being kind wasn't the problem? What if I just stopped waiting for someone to believe in me? I pulled out my old sketch pad and started drawing random lines at first, then boxes, connections, screens. A platform. For people like me, creators who had talent but no spotlight. I whispered to myself, what if I build something that gives them a voice? The idea grew the longer I looked at it. An app where small creators could collaborate, share, grow, not buried by algorithms or big names. Something real? Novalink, I said out loud. The word rolled off my tongue like it had been waiting there all along. I scribbled notes furiously. Pages filling with messy handwriting features, names, sketches. Hours passed. The rain stopped. My fingers trembled. Not from exhaustion, but from something I hadn't felt in months. Purpose. When Daniel called the next morning, my voice sounded different. You sound alive, he said. What happened? I had an idea. Oh boy, he sighed. Is it another one of your weird passion projects? Maybe, I said, smiling faintly. But this time, I'm not doing it for love. For what then? For me, there was silence on the line, then a low whistle. All right, man. Just don't burn out again. I looked at the sketches on my desk, the first pieces of something that might actually matter. No promises, I said. But this time, if I fall, I'm falling forward. The call ended. I leaned back, sunlight cutting through the blinds. My apartment still looked terrible, my life still in pieces, but for the first time since that rooftop, I didn't care, because somewhere between heartbreak and insomnia, I had found something stronger than pain. I had found determination. Sleep became a rumor. My days bled into nights, the only light coming from my laptop screen and the blinking cursor that mocked my slow progress. Daniel's voice crackled through the phone one morning. You're alive, right? Because your text at 3 a.m. Mill said. I think I broke Java. I did, I muttered. But I fixed it. Kind of, he groaned. Man, if you fry another laptop, I'm starting a GoFundMe. I laughed weakly. Add instant noodles to the donation list. I'm living off those now. Bro, you need sunlight, he said. You're gonna evolve into a coding goblin. Goblins make things, I said. I'll take it. He sighed. All right, Chief. Goblin. Send me the new app demo when it's ready. I'll throw together some marketing memes. Marketing memes? Exactly, he said proudly. You handle code? I handle chaos. After the call, I stared at my pitch deck. Rejected. Again, every investor's email sounded the same, polite disbelief. One meeting still burned in my head. The man across the table smirked before I even finished my presentation. You compete with the giants? I swallowed hard. I'm not competing. I'm creating a space they ignored. He chuckled, romantic. But idealism doesn't fund startups, kid. When I left, his laughter followed me into the elevator. That night, I sat on the floor surrounded by crumpled notes and empty ramen cups. My phone buzzed, an unknown number. Ethan. Grace here, a confident voice said. Daniel mentioned Novalink. Mind if I drop by your workspace tomorrow? My workspace? I glanced at the mess. Sure if you don't mind chaos. The next morning, she arrived. Sharp suit, sharper eyes. So this is it? She asked, looking around my tiny apartment. Don't let the decor fool you, I said, trying to sound confident. It's got character. She smiled faintly. Character and caffeine, I can tell. Show me the app. I handed her my laptop. Out. As she explored, I braced for the usual polite rejection. But her expression changed. Curiosity, then focus. This idea, she said finally, it's not bad. You're rough, but there's fire here. Fire? I blinked. Yeah, she said, looking right at me. You've got something most founders lose, early desperation. That's fuel. I laughed nervously. Not sure if that's a compliment. It is, she said. If you can survive this stage, you can survive anything. I'll help you polish your story. Why? I asked. Everyone else walks away. Because I believe in people who don't give up. Something in her tone hit me harder than any investor's insult. For the first time in months, I felt seen, not pitied. Daniel dropped by that night, saw the new pitch layout Grace helped refine, and whistled. Damn, it actually looks professional now. She's a miracle worker, I said. He grinned. So what's my title now? I smirked. Chief Meme Officer, he saluted. Finally, recognition.
Oh.
The next few weeks blurred together. Coding marathons, late-night strategy calls, Raymond-fueled brainstorming. Every small win, a working feature, a positive user test, felt monumental. One night, Grace called after a long meeting. You still awake? Barely, I said, rubbing my eyes. I just wanted to say, she said softly, don't let the world harden you, Ethan. You're doing something real. Don't lose that. Her words lingered long after the call ended. I stared at my reflection in the dark laptop screen, exhausted. Unshaven, but alive. The pain that used to crush me now burned quietly inside, reshaped into drive. For the first time since Lena's goodbye, I didn't feel small. I felt unstoppable. Not because she was wrong, but because I finally stopped needing her to be right. Asterisk 2 years. That's how long it took for everything to change, or at least that's what everyone said. The morning it happened, Daniel barged into my office, waving his phone like a maniac. We did it. 1 million users, Ethan. 1 freaking million. I blinked at the numbers on his screen, trying to process them. That can't be right. Oh, it's right. He tossed a handful of confetti in my face. We're trending worldwide. You're officially the underdog king of tech. Grace burst through the door next, grinning. Tech Times wants an interview. And Forbes? And tell them I'll think about it, I said quietly. Daniel frowned. You'll think about it? Dude, this is your victory lap. Where's the champagne? Probably next to the sleep I haven't had in 2 years, I muttered. He laughed, clapping me on the shoulder. You're impossible, man. Just try to enjoy this. You earned it. The office buzzed like a festival. Porters, employees, even random investors, everyone wanted a photo, a quote, a soundbite. Smile for the camera, Grace said, flashing her phone. I tried, and the corners of my mouth lifted, but it felt mechanical. Like my face was following instructions my heart hadn't received. Later that day, the launch party filled the conference hall. People clapped, glasses clinked, cameras flashed. It was everything I'd once dreamed of. Speech, Daniel yelled from the back. I raised my glass. To the team that turned heartbreak into code, I said. Laughter rippled through the room. And to the ones who never stopped believing, even when I did, cheers erupted. Daniel hugged me, nearly spilling his drink. "You finally sound like the boss." "Yeah," I said softly. "Guess I had to become one." After the party, I slipped away to the balcony. The city lights shimmered below, the same skyline where she once walked away. "Quite the view," a calm voice said behind me. I turned to see Mr. Howard, my old mentor. Gray suit, steady eyes. He hadn't changed much, still carried that quiet authority that made people listen. "Didn't think you'd come," I said. "Wouldn't miss it," he replied. "Congratulations, Ethan. You did what most only dream of." "Thanks," I said, though the word felt hollow. He studied me for a moment. "You don't look happy?" I exhaled slowly. I should be, but it's strange. I feel lighter and heavier at the same time. "That's success," he said, leaning on the railing. "People think it frees you. Sometimes it just gives your ghosts more room to move." I smiled faintly. "You always did have a way of making victory sound depressing," he chuckled. "Just reminding you, don't let success chain you the way failure did." His words hit harder than I expected. I nodded. "I'll try." "Try harder," he said gently, and patted my shoulder before walking back inside. I stayed on the balcony long after the noise faded. The night wind brushed against my face, carrying faint echoes, laughter, music, applause. None of it reached the hollow part of me that still remembered her voice. "You'll never be successful, Ethan," I whispered into the dark. "Guess you were wrong." But even as I said it, I felt no triumph, just quiet exhaustion. The lights below looked beautiful, but distant, like something I could admire, not touch. Daniel's voice called from inside. "Bro, they want you for a group photo." "Coming," I said, though I lingered a second longer. The world finally knew my name. I had everything I once wanted, and yet peace was the only thing I couldn't download. 3 years after Novalink's success, I needed something quieter, something mine. So, I built Aurelia Bay Resort, a glass-in-a-show dream on the southern coast. No reporters, no flashing lights, just waves, work, and peace. Sophia managed the place like a conductor leading an orchestra. Calm, precise, always smiling. Grace, as always, made the world talk about it. "You're a ghost lately," she teased one morning, stepping into my office with coffee in hand. "I'm retired from chaos," I said, sipping. She grinned. "Retired at 31. Must be nice being a legend." "Just tired," I replied. The morning sunlight spilled across my desk as she dropped a folder in front of me. "Guest list for next week's exclusive package." I scanned the names lazily: executives, influencers, a few celebrities. Then I stopped. Lena Hart, Adrian King. For a second I thought I'd misread. I blinked, looked again. The names didn't move. Grace noticed my silence. "Something wrong?" I leaned back, exhaling slowly. "No, just interesting." She tilted her head. "You know them?" I smiled faintly. "You could say that. Old friends?" She pressed, sensing something. "Something like that," I said, closing the folder. Grace raised an eyebrow. "Should I cancel?" I shook my head. "No, let them come." She hesitated. "Ethan, trust me," I said quietly. "I want to see what silence can do." When she left, I sat there for a long time, staring out the glass window. The ocean shimmered in the distance, waves rolling gently like they'd been waiting for this exact day. "Lena Hart," I whispered to myself. "You finally found your way to me, just not the way you thought." Later that day, I found Sophia near the pool terrace directing staff. "You work too much," I said. She looked up, amused. "Says the man who built a resort instead of taking a vacation." I smiled. "Touché." She studied me for a moment. "You seem distracted. Just an old memory checking in next week? Good or bad?" She asked. "Depends on which side you're looking from," I replied. That night, I couldn't sleep. The sea breeze carried the faint scent of salt and rain, memories I thought I'd buried. I walked to the balcony, hands in my pockets, and let the wind hit my face. I imagined her, Lena, walking in through the resort gates, arm in arm with Adrian, wearing that same confident smile she once wore when she told me I'd never make it. "Guess I did," I murmured. Glancing around the property, the luxury villas, the marble floors, the endless ocean view, all of it born from pain, shaped by silence. The next morning, Grace appeared at my door again, tablet in hand. "So, you really don't want me to cancel?" I shook my head. "No, you're sure?" she asked. "Absolutely." She studied me for a moment, then smirked. "You're planning something. Just peace," I said simply. "Sometimes that's louder than revenge." She smiled faintly. "You're weird, Ethan, but I like it." When she left, I opened the window again. The sound of the ocean filled the room, steady, timeless, indifferent. I thought about Lena's voice that night on the rooftop. "You'll never be successful." I laughed quietly, shaking my head. "You were wrong again." But this time, there was no bitterness, only calm irony. She was walking into my world now, not knowing she'd built half of it through her absence. Let her see it. Let her feel the silence I've mastered. Fate, I realized, doesn't always take revenge. Sometimes, it just waits patiently for the perfect audience. Asterisk, the grand hall glowed under warm lights. The sound of soft jazz weaving through laughter and clinking glasses. I stood at the entrance, greeting guests one by one, the practiced smile on my face effortless now. Sophia whispered beside me, "Full house tonight. Investors, influencers, and way too many champagne glasses." "Perfect," I said. "Let's make it unforgettable." And I saw them. Lena, Adrian. Her red dress shimmered under the chandeliers. Too similar to the one she wore the night she left me. His hand rested lazily on her waist, his smirk as polished as ever. Grace nudged me gently. Those two. Guests of honor? In a way, I murmured. Adrian approached first. "Nice place," he said, glancing around like he owned the view. "You the manager?" I smiled, holding his gaze. "Something like that," he chuckled. "Figures. You've got that. Service industry vibe." I didn't respond. My eyes shifted to her. "Enjoying the evening, Ms. Hart?" Her name froze her mid-motion. The fork slipped from her fingers, hitting the plate with a faint chime. For a heartbeat, no one spoke. She blinked, disbelief flickering across her face. "Ethan." I tilted my head. "You remember?" Her lips parted, but no words came out. Adrian frowned. "Wait, you two know each other?" Lena forced a brittle laugh. We used to." "Used to," I repeated softly. "Yes, that's accurate." The air shifted. The hum of conversation around us seemed to dull. Adrian leaned back in his chair, trying to reclaim control. "So you run this place, huh? Impressive for a guy who once begged for investment money." I smiled, not rising to the bait. "Funny, I remember someone else begging for forgiveness." His smirk faltered for just a moment. Lena's hand tightened around her wine glass. Sophia appeared beside me, cool and composed. "Mr. Reed," she said, addressing me. "The press wants a quick photo before dessert." I nodded, then looked back at Lena. "Excuse me?" "Duty calls." As I turned, she whispered, "You own this." I paused, met her eyes. "Every inch." Her breath hitched. I didn't know." "I know," I said quietly. "You never looked past the surface." For a second, the noise around us vanished. Just her, me, and the ghost of a rooftop long ago. Adrian cleared his throat. "Come on, Lena. Don't make it weird." She looked away, her confidence unraveling. Grace passed by, whispering under her breath, "That was brutal." "It's not revenge," I said. "Just gravity. Things fall back where they belong." Later, as the dinner continued, I stood near the bar, watching her from across the room. She laughed too loudly, drank too fast, trying to drown a truth she couldn't escape. Sophia joined me. "Old flame." "Old wound," I corrected. "You could have embarrassed her," she said softly. "I didn't need to," I replied. "Karma doesn't roar. It whispers." Sophia smiled faintly. And tonight, I lifted my glass, watching the reflection of Lena's pale face in the mirrored wall. Tonight, it's whispering with my smile. The jazz swelled again. The world kept spinning, But for the first time, I wasn't chasing it. I'd already arrived. The first headline appeared on a Monday morning. Adrian King faces financial collapse. I didn't react, just sipped my coffee, scrolling through the details. By Wednesday, it was fraud allegations intensify. By Friday, King Holdings on the brink of bankruptcy. Daniel barged into my office, waving his phone. You seeing this? The Golden Boys falling apart? See it, I said quietly. He grinned. Feels good, huh? I looked out at the sea instead of answering. The horizon shimmered, calm, endless, merciless. Later that evening, Grace walked in, her voice low. Paparazzi caught them leaving a courtroom. She looked. Broken, Lena? I asked, my tone neutral. She nodded. You sure you're okay watching this happen? I'm not watching, I said. I'm remembering. The next day, whispers spread through the resort. Guests shared gossip over cocktails. Adrian's name was everywhere, not in celebration, but in ridicule. Couldn't happen to a better man, Daniel muttered, scrolling through comments. Sophia frowned. Don't gloat, Danny. Karma doesn't need applause. I gave a faint smile. She's right. Let silence do the talking. That afternoon, I saw her Lena by the lobby fountain. She looked smaller somehow, her once perfect posture weighed down by something invisible. Her friend Clara was beside her, whispering urgently. Lena, Clara said, voice shaking. You know this resort? It's his. Lena's eyes darted toward me across the marble floor. For a moment, our gazes locked, her shock. My calm. Then she turned away. I didn't chase. I didn't need to. Night fell heavy. The rain outside matched the storm I had once carried inside. I sat in my office, lights low, reviewing reports I wasn't really reading. The door creaked open. She stepped in. No makeup, no smile, just trembling breath. Ethan, she said softly. Ms. Hart, I replied, keeping my tone steady. She took a hesitant step forward. You built all this? I nodded once. Every wall, every tile, every sleepless night. Her voice cracked. I saw the news. Adrian's losing everything. They're calling him a fraud. I know. She looked at me, eyes glossy with tears. You knew this would happen, didn't you? I didn't have to know, I said quietly. The truth always finds its way out. She clutched her arms. He said you'd never make it. That you were too kind, too naive. And you believed him, I said, not bitter, just honest. She closed her eyes. I was stupid, no, I replied. You were honest about who you were. You wanted gold? I had dust. Her tears fell, silent and real. I didn't think dust could shine like this. I leaned back in my chair. From the same hands that built that cheap dream, I said softly, came this. The words hung in the air. She didn't respond, didn't argue, didn't apologize, and she didn't have to. The silence said enough. She left without another word, heels echoing down the hallway, the same rhythm as the night she'd walked away. I exhaled, leaned back and looked out toward the dark sea. The storm had passed. Not outside, inside me. Asterisk, she found me in the lounge that night. The rain had stopped, but the air was still heavy, the kind that carries old memories. Lena stood by the bar, her eyes swollen, her voice barely a whisper. Ethan, she said, trembling, can we talk? I closed my laptop and nodded toward the empty seat across from me. Go ahead. For a long moment, she said nothing. Then her voice broke. I thought I was chasing success, she whispered, but I was just running from myself. The words hung there, fragile and raw. I didn't interrupt. I kept thinking Adrian had everything I wanted, she continued, tears glistening. Money, status, confidence, but it was all hollow. He didn't love me. He loved owning me. I leaned back, my fingers tracing the rim of my glass. And now? She swallowed hard. Now I don't even recognize who I became. Silence filled the space between us, broken only by the sound of waves outside. Finally, she looked up, eyes searching mine. Do you hate me? I held her gaze. No. Her lip trembled. You should. Hate fades faster than love, I said quietly. It burns out, leaves you empty. I've had enough emptiness. She pressed her palms against her face and sobbed. I ruined everything good that ever came near me. Maybe, I said softly, but ruining something doesn't mean it can't be rebuilt. Her shoulders shook. You rebuilt yourself without me. I hesitated, then replied, maybe I rebuilt myself because of you. Her eyes widened. You're thanking me for breaking you. I gave a faint smile. Pain is a better teacher than pride. She looked down, defeated. I don't deserve forgiveness. Good thing I'm not giving it, I said. I'm just done carrying the weight. Her breathing slowed. The storm in her voice began to quiet. I kept replaying that night, she murmured. The look on your face when I walked away. I see it every time I close my eyes. I didn't respond. There was nothing left to say. She reached for her glass, hands still shaking. Adrian's gone. He left the country. Took what little we had left? I nodded once. Then maybe this is your beginning, not your end. Her eyes filled again. You're kinder than I deserve. I looked past her, toward the dark sea, glimmering beyond the window. Maybe, or maybe I've just learned what peace costs. She stood slowly. Thank you, she whispered, for not hating me. I didn't move. Goodbye, Lena. When she left, the silence didn't hurt anymore. It felt earned. Later, Daniel joined me on the balcony, 2 mugs of coffee in hand. You could have crushed her, he said, handing me one. Why? I asked, watching the waves roll under the moonlight. Life already did, he exhaled. You really forgave her, didn't you? I shook my head. No, I just stopped needing to. Daniel chuckled softly. You've changed, man. Maybe, I said, taking a sip. Or maybe I just grew up, the ocean whispered below, steady, endless, calm. For the first time in years, I didn't feel anger or loss or regret. Just quiet. Revenge, I realized, doesn't heal anything. It only feeds the wound, peace. Peace closes it. Asterisk, the morning air was soft, the kind that carried the scent of endings. Grace slipped an envelope onto my desk. She asked me to give you this, she said quietly. My name was written in trembling ink, Ethan. The handwriting was fragile, uncertain. I stared at it for a long moment before tearing it open. Her words spilled out like ghosts. I'm leaving the city. You were right. Love isn't about winning. It's about growing. I spent years chasing pride, not peace. You found both. My fingers tightened around the page. I don't expect forgiveness. I just hope when you look at the ocean you'll think of something calm, not me. I exhaled slowly. The words blurred, not from emotion but from understanding. It wasn't guilt she left behind. It was closure. Sophia's voice startled me. You're up early. I folded the letter carefully. Couldn't sleep. Her eyes drifted toward the paper. That from her? I nodded. What's it say? She asked gently. Goodbye, I said. In too many words. Sophia stepped closer. You gonna reply? No, I said. Some things are better left answered by silence. We stood there for a moment, neither speaking. The resort was waking up, waves brushing the shore, gulls crying faintly in the distance. She placed a hand on my arm. You know, you could have hated her forever and no one would have blamed you. I did, I admitted. For a long time, but hate gets heavy. Eventually, you have to drop it, or it drags you down. Sophia smiled faintly. So what now? I held up the letter. Now, I let this go. She followed me out to the beach. The sun was rising, slow and golden, the kind of light that made even endings look beautiful. I crouched down, struck a match, and touched it to the edge of the paper. The flame caught instantly, curling the words into smoke. What are you thinking? Sophia asked softly. I watched the fire eat through the last line. That some people leave to hurt you, and some leave to heal you. She tilted her head. Which was she? Both, I said. The ashes drifted up, caught in the sea breeze, scattering like tiny gray wings across the waves. The letter was gone, But oddly, it felt like she'd finally spoken the truth. Not to me, but to herself. Sophia crouched beside me. You okay? I looked out at the horizon. For the first time in years, I said quietly, the ocean didn't roar that morning. It whispered, soft, rhythmic, forgiving. The same sea that once echoed my heartbreak now reflected calm light across the shore. Sophia watched me for a while, then smiled. You know, she said, I think peace looks good on you. I chuckled faintly. Took me long enough to try it on. She stood, brushing the sand from her hands. Come on, boss. Breakfast's on me. As we walked back toward the resort, the wind carried the last traces of smoke out to sea. The past had burned, not in anger, but in understanding, and in the quiet that followed, I realized something simple. Something final. Closure isn't found in forgiveness or revenge. It's found when the waves stop crashing inside you. Daniel leaned against my office door, a mug in hand, and that same mischievous grin on his face. You've gone soft, man, he said, eyeing the group of interns laughing near the lounge. I looked up from my laptop. Soft, he chuckled. Yeah, you used to talk about crushing competition. Now you're running mentorship programs. What happened to the ruthless Ethan who built empires on caffeine and spite? I smirked. He retired. This version prefers coffee and peace. Peace. Daniel snorted. That's just another word for boredom. Not anymore, I said quietly. You'll understand one day. Sophia entered then, holding a stack of reports. Giving life lessons again? She teased. Always, Daniel said. Our fearless founder here thinks charity equals therapy. Sophia arched a brow. So, giving back now? I shook my head. No, letting go. She tilted her head, intrigued. Letting go of what? The past, I said simply. Daniel groaned dramatically. Oh boy, here comes the philosophical phase. Next thing you know, he's writing poetry about waves. Smiled faintly. Already did. They both laughed, and the sound filled the room. Light, genuine, warm. It reminded me how long it had been since I'd heard laughter without a shadow behind it. Later that evening, I walked along the shoreline behind the resort. The sky blazed with streaks of orange and violet, waves folding gently over the sand. Each step felt lighter than the last. The sea breeze brushed against me like an old friend. I thought I heard her laugh, faint, carried by the wind. Not mocking, not cruel. Just distant. For a second, I closed my eyes. Maybe it was memory. Maybe it was the ocean playing tricks. Either way, I didn't turn to look. Some echoes don't need to be chased. My phone buzzed, a message from Daniel. Board meeting tomorrow. Don't forget to wear shoes this time, beach boy. I chuckled and typed back. Peace doesn't need dress codes. The waves whispered softly at my feet, dragging the last traces of the tide away. Somewhere between success and solitude, I'd found something rarer, stillness. I took a deep breath, watching the horizon blur into night. For once, no storm brewed inside me. No weight, no chase. Just quiet. And as the sea hummed its endless rhythm, I whispered back, silence is the loudest victory of all.